I'm Anthony L. Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association are not only the Black Buddhist voice in America, we are the Black Buddhist voice in the world. And we have another one of our exciting Black Buddhist lectures for you today. Now please understand that we at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association present to you Black Buddhist lectures. We are like a black radio station. It means that we are cultural, not racial. So when we speak in the dialect of our black culture. Now, there's a lot that's going on here. You see, there's culture, there's history. My lecture today is Black Man Gives Quick Buddhist History Lecture explaining how Buddhism and the Buddha changed from black to white. Sit back, check it out, and learn this Black Buddhist history as told by a Black Buddhist teacher. Years ago, Alexander the Great tried to conquer India, and he ran up against the Nandas. Well, Alexander, with the Nandas, they had 80,000 elephants, and Alexander the Great said, hell no, I'm not going to try to conquer these black folk in India. But what happened was, there was another group of black bad people. They were called the Mauryans, and the Mauryans actually controlled India up into the time of 185 BC, when Pushyamitra Shunga killed the last Mauryan king, Brihadratha. He killed him in broad daylight, and they set up a Brahman cult. This is 185 BC, and all of the black Buddhists ran to their brothers in Nubia. See, it was the father of history who wrote that Muro was the cradle of the gymnosophists, because the black people went to Muro, which was the land of Nubia. Now in India, they killed all the Buddhists. Now, they set up this caste system, or they were trying to set up the caste system, and they brought in a white person. Now the white person they brought in, this is about 1900 years ago, they call it the Shaka era. Shaka means in Sanskrit foreigner. They brought in a foreigner, and his name was King Kanishka. King Kanishka came in. This is about 1900 years ago. They call it the Shaka era. Shaka means in Sanskrit foreigner. They brought in a foreigner, and his name was King Kanishka. King Kanishka came in, and with his soldiers, he was from the Afghanistan of the Kushan dynasty. They set up a dynasty, and the Kushans, they got introduced to Buddhism through a former Brahmin by the name of Ashvaghosha. Ashvaghosha introduced Buddhism to King Kanishka, and what they did was they came up with their own second, fourth Buddhist council, whereas they changed the language, the culture of Buddhism, and they changed the Buddha from black to white. You could see this by the Gandhara images, because King Kanishka made Gandhara his headquarters, or his capital. Now, what happened was, they came up with this new Buddhism, this new culture, and all of this happened because of Sanskrit. Now, the largest writing in the history of humankind is the Buddhist writings of the Pali Canon. This is the first of the largest evidence of any religious writings in the history of mankind. The Pali Canon is about 14 times larger than the Bible, and if you take all of the writings of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and you put all that together, the Pali Canon will still be 3 times as large of all of that put together. It's the largest religious work in the world, and it's called the Pali Canon. It comes from Pali, or Pascal. Now, the Vedics created a new language called Sanskrit. Now, listen to this. The first archaeological evidence of Sanskrit is called the Rudra Danam. The Rudra Danam came about in the AD. Now, this is how white people got an orgasm, or how they went off. See, what they did was, in Syria, there was a document in Syria, and what they did was, they saw this document in Syria about 1500 BC, and it looked like, or it resembled Sanskrit. And so what they did was, they got together and they appropriated this and called it Sanskrit. And it says the white language goes 1500 years. And when you go into the 19th century, all of the white people, all of the white scholars got together. They converged on India, they converged on Sanskrit, and they used this. Now, the Mahayanis were the Brahmins. Now, the Mauryans, they were the black people. Now, how do we know about the Mauryans? Because King Asoka left edicts. He left edicts in writing in the language called Karasi. Karasi was a Proscript, or a black language. Now, what is most urgent for black people to understand is how Sanskrit was used to extricate and to perpetuate racism. We created the Proud Black Buddhist World Association to reject the Sanskritization of Buddhist teachings. Please understand that whites and Europeans had conquered the world. They hated the idea in the Bible of Jews who were Semite that had black blood. Whites needed some evidence to prove white superiority. What excited white racists so much and that gave them an orgasm was Sanskrit. The Hindus told a false history in their Vedas that Indo-Aryans conquered the black indigenous people of India, and their light-skinned Brahmins who ruled India were ancestors to a superior white race called Aryans. Now, white people worldwide literally got a nut. The British dispatched Sir William Jones to India. People look up, I want you to look up a free book. Now Google this, it's called the Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland. See, European scholars will let you know that there were not any white people in ancient India. See, the Indus Valley civilization, they lived on the Sarasvati River. And they lived on the Sarasvati River, and they created a city that was so complex. They had running water, indoor toilets. They were one of the most sophisticated cultures and city planners in the history of mankind. In fact, it took white people, meaning Rome, 2,000 years to build a city that was comparable to the Indus Valley civilization. From the Indus Valley civilization came the Magadha Empire that was started by Sisunaga. And the Magadha Empire is where the Buddha comes from. You see, at the time of the Buddha, there was no such language as Sanskrit. There is no archaeological, anthropological, genetic science, any kind of science that shows Sanskrit. You see, the most influential white scholar was German Max Muller, who translated the Rig Veda, or the so-called Vedic text. It was the writings of Max Muller that led white people to the Aryan invasion theory. White racists in the 19th century used Sanskrit to advance the theory of white superiority. There were tablets etched in a language called Hurrian. Now, the documents refer to a treaty signed by the kings of Mitanni Kingdom, this is in Syria, that lasted about 200 years, around 1500 BC. The words resemble Sanskrit, and white racists used this finding to promote white superiority. Their argument was that Sanskrit was the oldest and the most perfect language, was of white origin, brought to Syria and India by invading white people. Now, white people call this romancing. In the hood, we call this getting a nut. Now, white people literally got a nut on Sanskrit. The white man who got the biggest nut in Sanskrit was Adolf Hitler. You see, just Google Adolf Hitler in Sanskrit. Between 1938 and 1939, Hitler sent an expedition to India to collect Sanskrit manuscripts. Hitler was not only brought into the Hindu racist fraud, the racist Hindu convinced Hitler so strongly that Hitler declared himself as Lord of the Aryans and Brahmins in India, and the Brahmins in India declared Hitler the 10th incarnation or avatar of the Brahman God. Now, there you got it. Here I am, a black man, have given you more Black Buddhist history in about 10 minutes than these white folk and these Asians would give you in 10 years. Anyway, I am Anthony M. Elmore, President and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association. Thank you very much. Tell me what's the line I see. Disregard what the facts may be. All ancient icons show a simple fact. They all show that the Buddha was black. I believe in facts and Akeda was wrong. Buddha was no Aryan. This song saw the history by those who rewrite history. Brothers and sisters, there's something to understand. It was 1,000 years after Buddha's death, his teaching right in Japan. Let me tell you something that makes sense. The Buddha's teachings did not start in the Orient. Those of you make a religious decision, the Buddha's teaching no Asian religion. The Buddhist religion has a lot of mystery. Asians took out all the Black Buddhist history. Let me lay on you the history and the facts. Look at the ancient Buddhist statues, is always black. Let me lay this on you, all the Black Buddhist history, and take out all the Buddhist mystery. The land today they call India. In the old days, it was called Eastern Ethiopia. The first people in the land were called Dravidian. The same people today we call Nubian.